First time we are broadcasting here on our new Wi-Fi system, so please bear with us because I know there's going to be something screwed up with it. But anyways, I'm Michael Farrar from D-Sport Magazine. Thank you for joining us today. We hope to be doing a lot more of these live broadcasts to show you what we've got going on over here. And today in particular, we've got an Fk8 Civic. That's a Civic Type R. And I don't know how many of you guys out there like these cars, don't like these cars. Whatever the case, this is pretty much the epitome of what you can go to a Honda dealer and buy right now for their top performance car. Now, the vehicle itself, as you know, a 2-liter direct injection turbocharged engine, and stock, it'll put about 297 horsepower to the wheels. Now, turbocharged engines, generally, you can get in there and retune them and make some more power, and that's also the case with this. Using a FlashPro from Hondata, you can send in your ECU, they can jailbreak it for you, you get it back. I think the cost is around, I want to say $695, something like that, something in that ballpark. Hopefully I didn't really mess up that price. But I believe they also have a carb legal reflash also for the vehicles to add some additional performance. So whether you're interested in staying carb legal or you have plans to not do that, Hondata's got a solution for you on the tuning side. Now, there's a lot of good things about the Fk8, and there are some things that are challenges with the vehicle. One of them is they let the engineers in the UK design the fuel system for the Type R. Unlike the Civic Si, that had its fuel system designed in Japan, the one that they designed in the UK for the Type R has a very limited headroom. So, you know, we put 300 horsepower to the ground here, and it's probably good for maybe another 10%, and then it's out of steam. It just doesn't have the capacity that's needed. So along those lines, Honda has come up with a solution for it, known as their Hondata fuel system upgrade for this vehicle. And we had the opportunity to install it, to evaluate it, and to do some tuning with it, and that's what we're here today to talk about. So, number one, if anybody's got any Civic Type R tuning questions, if anybody's actually watching us yet, let us know. But if anybody's got any questions about this, I'd like to answer those questions before we start showing you some of the dynos. Yeah? Well, let's look, come on over here, and we'll just look at a stock dyno first to see what this vehicle kind of does and some of the characteristics of it. So let's see, this is a bone stock Civic Type R. This is our power curve here. You can see it cuts off right around 6,800, I think, or something like that, or 6,900. That's where the factory rev limit is, maybe 6,900. And then that's the power curve, and you can see it's making peak power somewhere around 6,300 RPM, and making about 296.7 horsepower right there. And if we switch over to torque, you can see the torque curve. And I'll just go ahead and turn off power so you can kind of see it a little bit easier. All right, and there we go.
Someone's asking, is all tuning on Honda's This Young digital?
What do they mean by digital? We have to use a laptop. We don't use a screwdriver if that's the digital part. The interface for it, I'll grab that to show you what the interface looks like. It's basically a connection that puts your laptop between the ECU and that here. You want to hand that to me? All right. So can you disconnect me there? All right. So I'll show you right here. This right here is the FlashPro and kind of what it looks like. It's basically the interface to go between the OBD2 connector on the vehicle and your laptop. And if you get, say, the carb legal version, all you're basically doing is taking a map, loading it in there, and that's going to recalibrate your engine to raise the boost levels, optimize the air-fuel ratio, optimize the timing to give you some additional horsepower. If you get the kind that allows you to do tuning, you can go in there and make custom modifications as needed for motorsports. This system also lets you data log, so you don't have to have a laptop in the car. You can hit the data log button, record all the data you need, and review it at a later date. So, and you don't have to leave it in the car either if that's going to be one of your questions. You basically reflash it, it's in there, and you're good to go. You only need it in the car if you want a data log. So this is basically what we were looking at, and when you go and you do let's see here. You guys are more familiar with power, so we'll stick back to power. And just going to show you here what it looks like when you're on 91 octane and you just reflash it. Let's see here.
I have a lot of questions when you get a chance.
Okay, so pull up a few of these and grab one. So, looks like the best of these, leave that one up there. So the best of these, with a off-the-shelf map that you could get from Hondata to reflash, you can see the performance improvement there. And notice that you're not giving up horsepower anywhere, you're just gaining it everywhere. So that's a pretty substantial gain there. If you look at the torque curve too, same thing going on there. So nice big, I mean, it almost feels like you, it's probably got to be about a 30%, 35% gain there right in at the peak torque. So got some questions, let's start taking them.
Okay, this question you could probably answer after we talk a little bit more about how is the torque steer with more power, too much or not a big deal?
Okay, anybody who's worried about torque steer, they've got more problems than they know what to do with. There isn't much of a torque steer issue in this vehicle at all. You've got the differential technology going on in the front. This thing's happy. Give it more power, that's what it needs. It wasn't my favorite vehicle to drive on the racetrack, mainly because it's just so toned down in the note, the exhaust note. It's too quiet. You can't really hear the engine once you have a helmet on, but aftermarket exhaust cures that. Now this car that we have here today, bone stock with the exception of the Hondata FlashPro and the Hondata fuel system upgrade.
Two questions in one.
Mhm.
Two questions, I want to combine them. How much boost does the stock Civic make, and how much power can the stock motor and stock turbo handle?
Okay, those are good questions. Okay, so there isn't so much how it used to be in the days of, okay, my engine's gonna make this much boost and that's what it makes. A lot of the systems today are torque based and they're using different things to kind of get to where they want to go. So your boost level will vary. You know, what's really dependent upon it in this vehicle is the actual horsepower output. Now what we did, or what we have a good way of showing you here today, is how much horsepower can that stock turbo make before it maxes out. And the horsepower we'll show you today versus what you could get if you put on an aftermarket exhaust, you put on an intake. The intake and the exhaust aren't going to add much if the car is tuned without it already. If the car isn't tuned at all and you put those on there and you tune for it, yeah, you might make a few extra horsepower over the stock pieces, but there's not going to be big gains there like there used to be. Honda did a pretty good job on the intake system and the exhaust system, so you're not going to see stuff there. It's really calibration that's going to give you the horsepower. The other area where you can gain some horsepower is, of course, getting rid of the catalytic converters. But then again, then you're making the vehicle, make an extra 4 to 6 horsepower, maybe 10 horsepower. But then you're not smog compliant, and it's just not the way to go. You can make horsepower easier other ways without pulling those things off. So leave those in place, and that'll kind of give you an idea. As far as the horsepower level, this engine tuned at this horsepower level, competing at the 25 hours of Thunderhill with Honda, that Hondata did a lot of the research with, no problems whatsoever. So if it's got a proper tuning there, I talked to Hondata, and they're really comfortable if somebody's, has the same system that this car's set up, making the same horsepower, they're going to be happy with that. It's gonna live a long life. These engines have gotten a little bit of a bad rap because people don't know how to tune a direct injection engine, and because they make mistakes on them, they're not as forgiving. And it's not that they have weak rods or they have this or that. They need to be tuned properly. And if you don't, yeah, you're going to blow them up just like any new engine.
Can you run leaner air fuel ratios because of the direct injection?
Yes. In general, direct injection allows you to run much leaner air fuel ratios. There's some BMW engines that run, stoichiometric 14.7 to 1 at wide open throttle. One of the ways that we did a custom tune on this near the end is we leaned that out, and just going from, I think it was 11.5 to 1 to a 12.5 to 1 was part of the way that we picked up a good 10 to 12 horsepower on the top end with that. So yeah, you can definitely run leaner air fuel ratios. with that. You know, one of the things we'll talk about in a future broadcast is the importance of the EGT gauge. We're going to come back to EGT gauges again because now that you can get the exact air-fluid ratio you want, now that you can get no knock in there, the last part of that puzzle to make sure that your tune is right is knowing what your EGT temperatures are, and we're going to have to start putting that gauge back in the car or somewhere to record that if we really want to have a proper tune of the vehicle.
Is direct injection a limiting factor for power for this vehicle since there isn't big support for aftermarket injectors yet?
Well, that's what we're here to talk about. I don't know if that was a segue to leave it. Look, this is what this is right here. No, there is finally an option. You know, the Hondata option, this gives you about a 25% increase in the fuel system capacity. So now you can make 25% more horsepower. And basically, it's a whole fuel system upgrade. It starts at the tank with an in-tank pump upgrade, which is the low-pressure pump, which operates around 45 psi. And then it gives you a high-pressure pump upgrade, and it gives you 4 direct injectors. So all that combined together gives you that additional capacity to support, you know, 25% more horsepower than the factory system does. When they did some testing and stuff on race gas, they were able to support upwards of I believe, 520 horsepower, 550 horsepower, somewhere in that range. So this is the solution today, is, you know, giving you an extra 25%, doing it all on the DI system. Of course, you could add a port system to it and go beyond that if you needed to for your particular application, but the more you can do through the direct injection, the better off you're going to be. One of the areas where we've seen really good performance gains on, say, the Subaru BRZ, when we turbocharge those, is doing as much as you can through the direct injection gives you better gains in the end versus the port injection.
Okay. Nguyen_M8 needs your shirt. And then when can we analyze the Lancer Evolution? Soon, coming up.
Okay.
How much a good muffler can add horsepower? Can a muffler add horsepower as much as headers?
No, not on this car. You know, it all depends on the vehicle. This vehicle in particular, the factory exhaust system is pretty well tuned. You're not going to be able to get much more out of it. Did we do a test on this or just the SI?
Yes, yeah. If you go on dsportmag.com, type Honda Civic Type R test and tune, you'll get it.
All right, Honda Civic R test and tune, you'll kind of see what we were able to gain on that. We did a staged upgrade on it. It's not big power. You're not going to see big power from the intake. You're not going to see big power from the exhaust on this. Really, on this vehicle, the exhaust system you choose is based on looks and sound. I mean, that's and construction. You don't want to, you know, buy something that is going to rot out in you know, 2 years. So pick a high quality one that you like the sound, you like the looks of. That's going to be the best one for you.
How much cooler does this run given it's on E45?
How much cooler? Well, we don't have a way of measuring the actual, you know, in-chamber combustion temperatures to figure out how much cooler it's running within there. What I can tell you is it can run a significant amount of more ignition timing without knock or anything like that, because it's sucking all the heat out of it. Doing the flex conversion on this vehicle, one of the big advantages that you get is you don't have the limitations of the factory intercooler, because the factory intercooler, of the hard parts that are on this car besides the fuel system, that factory intercooler is probably one of the areas where you're going to see the biggest performance gains if you can improve that upon that. But with E85 or, you know, flex fuel, any type of, on this car particularly, we run about E45. I can answer why we do that. But anyways, you're going to see those gains that you see from the intercooler without an intercooler. So if you are going to run E45, you don't really need the intercooler at this horsepower level with the stock turbo.
All right, people are
Okay, so we're going pretty good now?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, so we looked at the stock horsepower, we looked at a FlashPro on 91 octane. Now let's take a look at improving the fuel system, upgrading the fuel system and still keeping it on 91 octane. Let's see here if I can navigate this. All right, let's see which one. I'm picking the, oh, sorry, putting the same dyno up there 3 times, that doesn't help us. All right, here we go. 2 and 3, all right. Okay, so this is, oh, let me zoom it out here. Okay, so upgrading the fuel pump here and using the off-the-shelf tune for that, you can see now we've taken the torque from 333 foot-pounds up to 359. This is the torque one. Let me switch to horsepower here. And power, now we're at about 340 horsepower. And you noticed here on this particular run, it was right when it was starting to do some of the fuel compensation and correction. It had a little bit of a flat spot here around 6,300 RPM. And what we did to kind of correct that, we weren't sure what it was. It ended up being most probably related to the fuel, air-fuel ratio just being a little bit too rich there, so we cleaned that up a little bit, and we were able to tune that out. And then the other thing it could be though, or you should look at, is always with these cars, if you're going to run more boost, it is a good idea to gap down the spark plugs, just to make sure that you do have sufficient ability to make a spark there. So that gives you an idea on that, and then I'll show you once we switch over here to flex fuel. And I think it was two. Yeah. All right. So now, so this is running E45. This latest line here, I'll click on it. So now we're up to 362 horsepower, and you know, cleaning up the curve pretty much everywhere. Up to 362 horsepower from 296 stock, and also, let's see here, if we change this to torque is almost at 360 foot-pounds, so almost, let's see, 60, 27, almost 90 foot-pounds of torque increase over stock. So quite substantial. All right, so put this back. And then of course, that was just off the shelf map, and then we used the software and went in and did a little bit of tuning and made some additional power over that and cleaned things up a little bit. So we were able to, looks like about 383.75 horsepower. This is SAE correction. This isn't somebody going in and saying, oh, I make a lot of horsepower, here's my STD number. Yeah, okay, STD number 392. Well, SAE number, the right one, is right there, 383.75, and gives you an idea of where everything's at. And you see we're able to clean this up, this little area here that has a little bit of a hiccup. It's probably in the design of the cam and timing and everything else going on. Whatever the case may be, able to tune that out using the software, which is really easy to use. And you see we're able to pick up additional horsepower everywhere across the board there, running E45. Okay, now that's kind of an idea of that. Do we have more questions, or you guys want to see?
You want to do questions first?
Sure, let's take a couple questions, then we'll show you the car on the Dyno.
Does Hondata allow changing the RPM red line?
Yes, you can change the RPM red line on the engine, yes.
Have you experimented with water meth injection like some M3s have?
No, but you know, water meth injection on any car that's a direct injection only fuel system is a very good idea. Honda seems to have done a much better job than the European companies as far as tuning the cars so that you don't get a lot of valve deposits. But if you have water meth injection, besides the performance gain you can get, the fact that you're cleaning those intake valves can add up to big dividends, especially if you have a VW, an Audi, those things, a BMW. They're notorious. I mean, you might make 300 horsepower today, and 4 months down the road, you might be at 280, 270, because these intake valve deposits are just growing. It's pretty gross if you ever look inside those engines. So definitely, it is worth investigating.
Someone says, not to be a hater, but isn't this going to be too much power for front-wheel drive?
Yeah, okay, you're following the wrong people if you want too much horsepower. Oh, too much. Is it going to upset the balance? Okay, whatever. No such thing, okay? You can manage the power. Make the power, then you manage it. Not too much horsepower for front-wheel drive, okay? There's 1,200, 1,600, 1,800 horsepower front-wheel drive cars out there. If we're making, you know, almost 400 to the wheels, that's not a problem.
What did you upgrade beside the tune?
that's basically it, the fuel system and the tune. In fact, you know what? I'll kind of just show you what comes in the package so you get an idea. These are probably the stock components we pulled out, but let's see here. It's a conventional style pump that goes in the tank. Looks like, let's see, it looks like this right here. So that goes in the tank. They give you a new direct injection pump. This is the OEM pump, but it looks similar. It has the fittings going in a little bit different directions, so they give you everything you need to upgrade that. And then there's 4 direct injectors that are included in the kit, and it's basically installing that, which took us the first time about 8 hours, but after you do it once, it's like a 3-hour job if you unless you run into a situation where an injector's stuck or something like that. It's a pretty slam dunk, easy deal.
Good for now.
All right, so we're all good. So let's make a pass here and see how this thing does. Make sure I'm in the right thing here. Turn on the fan and. All right, I'll tell you what, guys. We're gonna leave the fan off so you can actually hear the car a little bit better. We'll probably be a little bit down on horsepower because we don't have the fan going. But let's go for it anyway. Ready to go? You want everything, huh? Make sure you turn off all of the sorry, off the fan. You can go ahead, Phil. So anyways, got to hear the car now. It's up, yeah, we were down on horsepower without the fan blowing, as expected. I'll show you kind of some of the neat stuff within the software if we can get it going here. Give you an idea. You've got pretty cool little logging stuff here. This was in closed loop. Here's our fuel pump duty cycle, this green line here, showing that we're using about 81% or so of the capacity of our fuel system right now to make that horsepower. See right now, this thing kind of sat there and heat soaked. It was kind of the worst case scenario. So you see here, we got a little inkling right here of retard there. It had to pull out. It saw a little bit of knock, so it pulled it out there. And let's see here. Closing. Yeah. So anyways, very easy to tune the system. If you want to tune it, off-the-shelf maps work pretty damn good too. Some questions? Any more questions, guys?
He asked what's the horsepower at.
So the horsepower on this run, it went down to like 367 because we didn't have the fan on. It was just sitting here gaining some temps. But let's pull that one out and get the real runs on here. Let's see here. All right, so 383.75 is where we ended up with on E85. Sorry, E45. That's making that horsepower about the same as the factory, right around 6,300 RPM.
Someone asked, can you hear knock before it's lethal for the engine? Audibly hear it?
Probably not. Not if it's only pulling like out 1 degree. If you have not audible knock, it's pretty serious. I mean, the problem is all knock should be audible, but the problem is with the right type of engine management system, it's picking it up so quick that it's just making that thing happen once, and we're not catching it. Our brain isn't hearing it or catching it when it just happens once, when it's a real slight knock. So we're not really seeing it, or hearing it, I should say.
Are higher flowing DI injectors soon going to be available in the aftermarket?
Hopefully we're going to see them on more applications. There are a few companies starting to make them. You know, Hondata put together their system here with a solution that gives us some higher flowing injectors for the Civic Type R. And I think there's an EcoBoost solution and a few others out there. We haven't gotten into too many vehicles that are direct injection only that we have to kind of worry about it. You know, for example, with the Fk8 engine in the BRZ FRS, it's actually a really cool engine to turbocharge or supercharge, because then you have both a port fuel injection system and a direct fuel injection system on the same engine, and you can, you know, blend them, use them together, and just upgrade the one to kind of get to where you need to go.
E45 because you're almost out of fuel, or just don't need the extra octane things?
It's basically, yeah, it's not needing the extra, not seeing a performance gain by going from E45 to E85. Most E85 will register, at least here in Southern California, on our gauge at about 80%, I think. It doesn't usually ever get up to 85, but it's usually around 80%. And E45, it'll give you more range. You can drive the car further, and at this power level, at this boost level with this turbo and stuff, there's just not a performance gain to go much beyond 45. There's enough capacity here. If it had E80 in there, you could do it, but then you kind of get more drawbacks than advantages.
That's about all the questions.
That's about all the questions. Okay, guys, well, we're going to review this and see how good or bad it came out. Hopefully it worked today. Hopefully everything's going up in HD as opposed to some like, you know, 360 pixel whatever catastrophe that we've uploaded in the past. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm looking at these things right now. I see we've got 3, you know, camera phones going here, and I see 2 of them in a portrait. I'm sorry, 2 of them in a landscape, 1 in a portrait. So that right there is already throwing up signals to me that maybe we screwed something up.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Oh, okay, Instagram and Facebook, YouTube. Okay, good. Whew. All right, I guess we're okay.
We will be seeing more live videos like this in the future.
Yes, we want to do a bunch of these videos. So tell us if you like them. Make some suggestions of what you want to see. We've got a crap load of stuff here. Just follow us. It'll be a good test. You know what? We're going to test our signal right now. That's what we're going to do. We're going to see when it drops out or if it drops out. But anyway, these are the guys pretending to be working in the machine shop today. We've got this coming up real soon for all the guys that love 4G63 performance, the shootout and all that kind of good stuff. We've got Sam's engine build we're going to be putting together very soon now. This is going to be a 1,000 horsepower 4G63 build. Looking to run high 8s with it. High 8s? Try to. I mean, it's probably going to have a check driver light flashing most of the time, but you know, we'll see what happens. He'll have enough power. That's all we can guarantee here. Over here, here's another engine that's kind of cool going together right now. This is the platform for what will be the world's quickest air-cooled VW. As Bassett is coughing out his lungs. You know, too much hookah? Is that what it was? Too much hookah there? Okay, anyways.
I choked.
We've got this one. Do we have those cylinders that came back? Yeah. Are they over here?
They're in a box over there.
I'll show you what we did with the cylinders. We're trying to try some new technology on an air-cooled VW, which is basically anything from this century is new technology. It's pretty cool. So this is something that we did, which will be kind of interesting. One of the first times this has been tried on one of these engines. We've taken the cylinder, we've cryo-treated it, then we honed it to size, and then we actually WPC surface treated it. So this will be the first time we have a nice hard and round cylinder. Now it's contagious, I guess. A round cylinder. We made a custom torque plate that was this was honed with, and I think, is that the new piston?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have one of the old. Can you grab the old piston? Yeah. So to give you an idea, this is the new piston that we'll be trying out with it. This is one of Molly's off-the-shelf power pack pistons for a small block Chevy, actually. A lot of the parts on this we can interchange with small block Chevy, and this piston ends up incorporating a lot of the newer technologies in there versus this turn of the century piston I think we have coming over here. So yeah, one of the big things you'll see is size of the rings. This is going from a too big, much too big over here on this old one to a 1-1 2mm stack on this. And the thinner rings give you better seal, less friction, more horsepower. It's an all-around win-win, especially because the materials. These were made out of basically coated poop. Is probably the best way to describe it. It was just a cast ring with a moly coating on it or something like that, a facing. Pretty junk stuff back then. Now we're talking about tool steel and stainless steel top rings with PVD and HV385 coatings, all kinds of good stuff there. So yeah, one of the things that, learn more, you'll follow along with this, but this is going to be a pretty fun project.
Someone says the size really matter, not in the bedroom.
Size really matters on piston rings. Yes, definitely. Thin. You go thin to win on piston rings. That's the one to remember. They've got piston rings down in Formula One and NASCAR and stuff. They're getting so thin now. I think they're down to like 0.5mm or something. It's next to nothing. What else we got going on? Looks like he's balancing a Fk8 assembly right now, right? 2.25. Yep. So this is one of the 2.25 big bore stroker engines that we got. The guy that's going to be running it, it's pretty cool because you don't meet a lot of Subaru guys or BRZ guys that are into drag racing, but he's totally into drag racing and ended up getting this engine that was originally going to be set up for road racing. And we're making some mods to it right now and freshening it up for him. We'll be going there. Kind of an interesting animal going together here. This is the McLaren V8 engine that is going to be getting its custom Darton cylinders honed right now. And it'll be kind of an interesting thing because these blocks are aluminum and there's so much distortion that takes place when you put on the head studs that you actually have to torque plate both sides of the engine at the same time if you want to hone the cylinders and get it all perfect. So, interesting engine. A lot of development we got going on with that. Looks like a 2JZ that'll be ready for about 1,500 horsepower. It already had the line bore done. It's getting the aftermarket Titan caps on it. Still looks kind of ugly. Needs some fresh paint on it, but it's pretty much ready to go. Bunch of 4B11s. I don't know what happened. Before 4B11s, you'd never see them, and now we can't sleeve enough of them. So a lot of people doing the 4B11s and sleeving them. And let's see what else. That's about what we got going on right now. Looks like we got the bar getting ready in here. Probably be putting. What do we got going in here? RB26?
Yeah, we're gonna do that thing where you custom
So, we're going to be doing RB26 line boring. Talk about the machining operation from hell. It is completely that. We're trying to basically take something and bore it all the way down here with this long tool that wants to vibrate and do crazy stuff. And so we have to use trick cutters, all kinds of tricks, fixtures, every trick in the book to make it work. And we're crossing our fingers it's going to work. So,
You guys do any Ford engines?
Ford? Yes, we have done 2.3, we've done 1.6, haven't done a 2-liter on the EcoBoost stuff, haven't seen the V6 yet, but I mean that's basically it. We'll do any engine, we'll make a torque plate for whatever it is, which is, like the McLaren here, customer asked us to make those torque plate for them, so they're all set up doing that.
Someone wants to see the same wrist technique with the wrench.
Really? Yeah. Is it any good? I don't know.
Go back to that wrist.
Alright, go.
Ah, there it is.
Woo!
There it is. This is practice, my friend. It's practice. Let's see. Okay, so here's the next test. We're probably going to lose you right now. So we're going to run over to the other side and try not to drop the signal. And let's go for it. All right, ready? Come on. Oh no. Yet? Not yet?
Nope.
Faster. Well, see here, we're doing some spring cleaning, getting all of our camera gear sorted out. One of the new things that we tried out on my R33, this is a plasma mat intake manifold with dual injectors per cylinder. So it'll be a 12 injector setup, drive-by-wire throttle body. So this will be something new we're trying out. Let's see. And here, follow us in here. So this is our bunny ranch. Heard about the famous bunny ranch? This is it right here, guys. Yes, 3 white rabbits that we rescued. We'll tell you the story one of these days. All right, coming along here. This is the ultimate VIP car that has been waiting for paint for like 4 years, and will hopefully find a painter. Been ready for paint for 4 years. Okay. Looks like I'll put on some lights to see a little bit better. 33. Not much new on it. We've got the 33 going on. We've got a 35 we're fixing for somebody. The Starion, we keep those Starion. And our ST that's always for sale. World's highest mileage S2000 right here. It's Tyler's claim to fame, although now he doesn't drive it. He left the Honda community now. He's gotten a Lexus IS now, but we all know better. So, any questions? Anything you see?
People are appreciating the tour and the bunny ranches.
Yeah, well, cool. Well, I don't think we dropped the signal. See, look, you can tell it's new, guys. We haven't even finished the install. This is like when you just, zip tie that boost controller in, see what's going on. Well, that's what we did here.
Someone wants to slow motion you when you were running.
Yeah. Well, guys, I hope you guys are all doing well out there. Please let us know what you like, you don't like, what you want, what you need. Subscription specials, we've got them going on, and if we don't got them going on, Tyler's screwing up and he shall get them going on real quick. So make sure you're subscribing out there. That's a great way to support us. We're going to have one of those Amazon links that if you click on this link and then you go buy stuff at Amazon, we get some money. If you can't afford a subscription and you still want to help us out, we're going to throw something like that up on there. We're going to go door to door with a tin cup and ask for donations soon. Whatever it takes, we want to stay alive. So whatever you guys need, let us know. We want to put it out there. Hopefully the guys at the Civic Type R now know about some of the options. Of course, that's not the only options. There's more options out there. If you've heard of something you want us to test, let us know. That's what we're here to do. All right, guys, thank you so much. Anyway, another question? No, we're good? All right, we'll see you guys next time.